Hi, this is Nim the Toastator from the Orion server, and you're listening to DDoCast.
Ask any little wizard, they'll tell you for a fee. You have to learn your magic, know your spells from A to Z. There are spells that cause destruction, spells that make them dance, spells that make them blind or deaf, or better at romance. M is for magic missile. You'll cast it till they put you in your grave. It hurts them just a bit, but you never roll to hit, and your victims do not ever get a save.
Right, today's music, if you haven't guessed, is M for Magic Missile by Mary Crawwell, a singer-songwriter and piano teacher who loves playing Dungeons & Dragons. And both sides of the GM screen, she may be seen at science fiction and film conventions performing and accompanying concerts on piano and occasionally clarinet. Acolytes of the Machine is her second album and is a love letter to her hobby of Dungeons & Dragons. You can buy her latest album, Acolytes of the Machine and Other Gaming Stories, and other albums at magnusretail.com. That's M-A-G-N-U-S retail.com. So, hello and welcome to DDoCast, episode 260, recorded live on Sunday, November 4th. I am your host, of course, as always, Siegfried Trent. With me is lovely producer and wife, Anne Trent, sporting a pink banner. Hey, darling. And, of course, we have our special guest, Jeff Hanna. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back to the show. So you can catch live shows on 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern U.S., every other Sunday on G Plus Hangouts or at DDoCast at www.ddocast.com/live, although we're doing our show a little bit late today. You can watch the recorded shows on YouTube or listen to it on iTunes or our RSS feed from ddocast.com. If you want to be part of the live show, you can leave a voicemail on our toll-free YARK line at 1-855-DDO-YARK. That's 1-855-336-9275. You can email us at ddocast@gmail.com. Give us something to say on the air or make a request and join the show as a guest, like Jeff. Or you can be a part of DDoCast Legacy and make us a segment or a funny commercial, and we will play it on the show, and it would live on our servers forever. No, mostly forever. Anyway, get all the show times, updates, and DDoCast goodness, Facebook, Twitter, G+, DDoCast, and, of course, on ddocast.com, our broadcasting mothership. All right, let's start out, as we often do, with game news. I've got Update 16 Adventure Pack goes on sale on November 12th, and theoretically you could play it around then, too, I would think. High Road of Shadows Adventure Pack, that'll be 750 turbine points. Upgrade stat tomes we'll be getting on this thing. They're like $295 to $19.95. Anyway, what those are is, say you have like a +2 tome, you can get like a +2 to +3 tome thing, so it kind of upgrades your stat tomes, I guess. It was an interesting thread, people guessing what kind of tomes would be when they announced there were tomes. I didn't see anybody guess that, so that's what we get. More shared bank storage from level 5 and 6, so we got +10 stacks of heal scrolls. That's kind of different. Primal avatars come free to those who have bought Epic Destinies. It's a new Epic Destiny they will be getting. And following Update 16, in the month of December, Festival will be released on live servers and will include a new winterized version of Evening Star and the Forgotten Realms, along with some winter games in that area. And we're listening to a MMORPG podcast kind of run-through thing where they talked about that. And so they're going to have kind of like a frozen river theme, I guess, over in the Forgotten Realms, and you'll be able to play ice games and stuff over there. I don't know if they're the exact same kind or there's something a little bit different, although I imagine the rewards are pretty similar, but maybe there'll be new ones. Who knows? We shall see in December. Yes. Nope. Okay, Maybar Fest is live, but not without bugs this time around. It's definitely been a rocky Maybar. Many ghosts in the works causing trouble. Anyway, the fest is going on now and will end on November 12th. Game performance issues related to the Maybar Festival have definitely been reported. Part of the investigation, they lowered the Epic instance spawn rates by 75%, so engineers could troubleshoot that issue. Apparently, there's a lot of people up at those levels, so the instance was real crowded, the spawn rates were high, the server was lagging all over the place, so they cut those down a little bit, but of course that means less monsters to kill and treasure to get, so a little bit of a double-edged sword there. The reduction in spawns is not long-term intended behavior for the festival. It's only in place to help Turbine analyze the performance levels. This will not impact the ability of Epic characters to access the Epic Spectral Dragon instances. And players also report that some instances are producing spawns that are of a level, but activate the creature was too weak upon death of the mob. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. Part of that is people at lower level can get into your instance and they spawn up stuff. It says, this instance is for these level characters, but that doesn't really prevent people from going in. And to my surprise, it doesn't prevent monsters of that level from spawning. So it's kind of like they're all truly free-for-all, but they just have a label on them. I'm not sure.
Well, and they seem to wear down over time. The longer that your instance is alive, the harder it is to get the right spawns in it. So ideally, you get into a fresh instance that just spawned and you're good for a while.
Yeah, it's really a bizarre behavior, and I've had it come and go. And I thought maybe for a while it was related to you can't normally summon pets out there, but you can get the Magister pets to come out. And so I had that, and I thought, well, maybe that thing is spawning up slightly below level creatures. I don't know. It was definitely weird, and yeah, switching instances sometimes helps. Yeah, and getting the fresh ones, you'd see one of them come up, and everybody's like, all right, we're all going over there, and then everybody would pile in.
So in the chat, CSI Stormreach is saying that it's not the incorrect monsters that are spawning, it's the appropriate monsters that are spawning, but their CR is lower than expected.
I see. So it's probably got something to do with the scaling code. Don't know what, but yeah. Yeah, because sometimes you'll get a frost skeleton, and normally I mostly just play the epic areas, and you get big, huge, giant skeletons, but then you'll get the little frost skeletons, and a lot of the time they'll say CR20, but then every once in a while they'll say CR something else, and then you don't get an XP for them on one occasion, and you do for another, and yeah, it's inconsistent to some extent, and can be a little frustrating. So,
well, and did you notice that Tolero has indicated that? Oh, and here's a confirmation that Update 16 is on November 12th. But in addition, they're going to bring the festival back. They're not going to continue to extend it past its current window.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to let it, die a buggy death. But they're going to bring it back between now and Thanksgiving. So if you don't, if you're not able to finish off your Epic Cloak because of spawning issues now, not a problem. You'll get another run at it later.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I have found it a little harder. There's been kind of mixed results on the forums. I've seen some people say, hey, you can farm moats till the cows come home. It's pretty easy. And other people, I can't get any moats. This is really hard. So, I don't know what's the case. I found it was odd. In the past, with the caster, I always was able to just moat farm like crazy. But now I found it a little easier on my monk. I don't know why. It could just be random perception. I'm not sure. But I definitely noticed different... I don't know, kind of a different collection rate of stuff. I used to get, like Vampire Fangs piling up in my inventory, and I haven't seen a one since I started this Maybar Festival. But I don't know.
I stocked up on them last time. I have 600 in my bank still, but I haven't got a single one. I've been able to get 1,500 motes an hour on my Cleric.
Yeah.
But no, not a single Lichen Dust, Flick Dust, and not a single Vampire Fang.
Yeah, it's really strange. I don't know what's going on with that. But you can turn the moats in them, so it's not like you can't get those things. But yeah, it used to be you had to farm for a while to get one, but I would get them, and I haven't seen squat for that as of late. Yeah, I don't know. This Maybar definitely not. I think the last one was probably the best one. The first one was kind of a challenge because it was a very new thing, and we didn't know what we were doing. And next time around, pretty good. But this one, it's kind of rough. I mean, I'm real happy about the new items and that sort of thing. So there's some goals to go after, which is great. But yeah, it's been a real problematic release. So oh well.
Now, on one plus thing, and I don't want to stay on this forever, but the dragon fights for me have been way better this time than in the past. So
that's true.
I've had much less lag. Maybe it's that the playing populace is more educated on how to do it now, but less just utter impossible people setting. Nobody's on a lever, nobody's in a room. We seem to play it better, and I've gotten a scale every single time. And whereas in the past there was always lag issues, or the dragon got stuck in a wall, or you ended up losing keys, and that hasn't happened to me even one time. So,
yeah, I've seen reports of it on the forum, but it hasn't happened to me either. I've had pretty smooth spectral dragon fights, almost to the point where they were kind of trivial. Like you don't even get to see the dragon. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's gone. Oh, somebody killed him. All right. Hey, I got my scale. Great. Which is cool because it's not really the most exciting thing in the world. It's the most exciting part is getting everybody in place, and then once that happens, pretty routine. Although I suppose with lower level characters, it might be a little bit more touch and go. I haven't done it very many times outside of capped out characters. Let's see, what else we got? Welcome the new Master of Lamania, Squeak of Doom. This was a replacement for Error 404, who used to be our Master of Lamania and Moorlands, but he has moved on, and we have Squeak of Doom, so welcome to him. There's a thread on the forum about it. If you want to say hello and let me on Moorlands, that sort of thing.
Could be her. We don't know.
Oh, well, that's true. You never know. I guess I default to the him thing, but Squeak of Doom. Yeah, I guess that could go either way. You never know. Let's see. Server maintenance scheduled downtime Monday, November 5th. DDO game servers will be down offline for maintenance Monday, November 5th from 6 to 12 Eastern. So in the morning as usual. And maybe longer, maybe not. It all depends on how it goes. Nothing being released so far as I know, just usual maintenance stuff. I know they wanted to bounce the servers because some people were having trouble where their character would stay logged into the game. They would get a report that they couldn't log in as that character because they were already logged in, and it would stay that way indefinitely. So they were going to bounce the servers and try to get those accounts sorted out that way.
Yeah, I also noticed that I wasn't able to purchase turbine points, so hopefully they'll fix that as well.
Yeah, that'd be good. Oh, I bought some, or no, I guess I didn't buy points. I bought stuff today, but yeah, I don't know. It's been a rough couple of weeks bug-wise. I mean, I haven't been playing a ton, but I've been following the forums and playing off and on. And Anne's tried to log in more often than I have, and she's had troubles on multiple occasions. Either the game being very laggy or not being able to do things that she wanted to do because of issues. And so this is, I don't know. For me, I've experienced the most problem with issues in the game over the last month, and most of the time I've been playing the game. So.
I don't think you're alone in that. It hasn't been a great couple of weeks. It just hasn't. There's been a negative feel. I don't know how much of it is. Maybe some of this is hurricane related, or there's turmoil at Turbine. Maybe some of this is just. I don't know, but you're right. There's been kind of a negative feel to things with bugs and so forth. Things that, like my gamer girl, her mouse wheel stopped working. She can't zoom out anymore, and she has to log out and log in to repair it, and it's just gotten constant. So.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. Someone from the chat. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. No, you first.
Oh, someone from the chat is from Europe, Mouse, and he comments that for once Europe is getting better lag issues than the States.
Yeah, no, that sounds like the case. Although they actually have a really good internet over there, so a lot of the times, a lot better than the U.S. actually.
Oh yeah, their infrastructures are far better.
But they do have to tap into ours in order to get access to the servers. So, yeah, and I don't. I guess so. Yeah, I mean, we're not having a lot of generic network issues here or anything, but yeah, it could affect their servers in a way. I'm not sure. Never been real hot at the internet architecture stuff. What else we got? We've got guild renown changes. Renown decay no longer takes guild size into account. This should ease the pressure for guild leaders to kick members from their guild to offset the daily decay rates. Renown decay now only takes a guild level into consideration rather than its size. Renown ransack has been increased. Previously, when a guild earned levels in a day, it would gradually reduce the renown drop rates. We've increased the rate so that the guild can only earn roughly 3 levels in a single day. This should prevent large guilds from completely dominating the field in terms of levels per day. And finally, if you got issues or complaints, that's what it says. Use the Guild Renown Changes thread in the Focus Discussions and Feedback official Turbine discussion section of the forums to give feedback on how the changes are impacting your guild leveling dynamics. So, yeah, let them know if you've had some stuff. And I know, Jeff, you wrote about this on DDO Gamer, right?
I sure did. This is the most welcome change I can imagine. I don't feel still that this is 100% the right change for them to make because I don't think it's addressing the right problem. I think the concept of decay is the problem, personally. I don't think we need it. I think it's really complicated, and it's just not a fun concept, right? I mean, look at the word. The word is decay, right? What does that remind you of? Well, death. Maybe dentistry, right? Yeah. Is this something you want in the middle of your escapist entertainment? I don't. But okay, setting all that aside, if it's going to be here, at least make it so that I don't have to constantly boot people out of my guild to keep the renown from just completely rolling back everything we've ever earned. So, I mean, it had gotten to the point where I was running my guild really just I would log in just to see who I had to boot. That's my guild leader character. That's all he did is boot people, and that's just not fun.
No.
So, no, this is a really welcome change. So now, I can have people in my guild that are in the Navy because I have had that, and they go deploy for months at a time, and that's not going to hurt us. Or other people that want to, because, we're a racial restricted guild. We're the Halfling Commandos. So if you're not a halfling, you've got to be in another guild, right? So we have people in all kinds of guilds, and that's just death on guild renown, because the entire account counts against you, even if the character that's in your guild only gets played occasionally, right? So, all the renown is being earned over here on the Warforged characters, but the decay is just as bad on all the characters. But not anymore, right? So now we get to go back to being the casual kind of fun-loving guild where nobody gets booted and we don't have to have rules, and yay. We're not going to have a 100th level ship, and that's okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of. Well, I know there's some long threads in the forums, and I read a little bit about it. I didn't see much of any negative feedback about this. Maybe a little bit here and there with people that kind of like the old system, but for the most part, it seems a lot more popular. I certainly like it better. I would say that generally, whenever Turbines tried to have something that has kind of a competitive feel to it, it's always backfired a little bit, or something that makes the game a little harder edge or more difficult. As much as people like a challenge, and they welcome a challenging quest or challenging raids or the high difficulty things, but whenever they've really made the game so that people who are elite can feel elite, it's generally alienated people and caused more consternation than joy, right? So I know that they meant for guilds above a certain level to be kind of just prestige. We worked really hard. We got this number. Not everybody can get this number. But in the end, I think the number of people that pleases versus the number of people that feel punished in some way, makes it so it's just not a great way to go. And I agree. Eventually, I'm not sure if renown really makes sense for DDO. I guess you could say, well, then everybody can have a level 100 guild, and it really does take a long time to get there for a casual guild. So yeah, every hardcore guild can have level 100, and they're welcome to it. Or as some people suggested, throw on some more guild levels once in a while, give something people to
or
grind on if that's what they want to do.
Boost the XP per level. I'm not saying this is something that I want for free or should be easy. Just once I've earned something, don't take it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah,
my guild is like 84 now, and just very slowly creeping up towards 85, which will be cool. We'll get a new ship. We've had the same ship for like a good year or so now, so I'm kind of excited about that. This helps. I don't think our guild had much trouble. We never really removed people for renown reasons. The guild's kind of small enough and people are active enough that hasn't been a problem. But I'm really glad to see that we don't even have to think about it anymore. So cool stuff.
They've got core players on all the time, so they maintain the guild.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, there's some very, very hardcore Madborn who, you're pretty guaranteed to see one of them on, except for a few hours during the day. So quite helps, definitely. They're not always actively doing much, but sometimes they are. Let's see. Druid's Deep Bug. So this is kind of a little player alert here. If you're having issues with this, it's got some remedies. So the end quest for Druid's Deep series won't complete due to some weird issues with the quest turn-in advancement. So here's the signs that you're in for some trouble. If you complete the entire series and pick up all 4 quests from their NPCs, complete the 3 pre-quests for Druid's Deep, Azeron Noron will tell you to talk to Tarim, and then Tarim will not offer you any dialogue and will not advance the quest for the Druid's Curse quest. And then you run Druid's Deep. Tarim will not accept or turn in Druid's Deep, nor will he advance the Druid's Curse. So if you get into this, and I guess the problem point is really Tarim, then you are in trouble. Unfortunately, abandoning the quest will not work, as it provides an error stating that you cannot abandon on the goal and effectively prevent you from taking Druid's Curse on your second run through the quest set. Bad news, the online GMs are unable to fix the issue by hand. The good news, however, is if you report the bug on a character that has it, or PM Melange, the DDO Turbine dev, on the forums with the character's name, they can probably do something about it. And better than that, they've tracked down the issue and they're working on a fix. So it should be in the QA pipeline and probably pushed out to Lamania soon. And maybe we'll see it in update 6. That's probably the most likely release date. Or 16, is it? Yeah, something like that. Anyway, pretty soon.
You haven't
so
had
that's
6
good.
and 10 updates.
Yeah, well, there you go. Also, on the happy news for the bug front, missing pets are returning. As we all know, lesser reincarnation before October. You may have lost your vanity pets and gear and things like that. Not so fun. Good news, for much of October, players should have been getting their pets and or missing gear back, especially if you submitted a help desk ticket. Items should be delivered to you via the in-game mail system, which I suppose could be a lot of stuff if you lost all your gear. But still, good that that's coming back. People will get their things. Hey, did you know that WB Turbine has a toll-free support number in case you have issues like this? I've never called it myself, but I'm sure it's there. So if you're having a problem with your account or have some general billing questions, give the account support a call or the WB toll-free number, which is 855-WB-GAMES, 855-924-2637. Previous account support telephone number of 781-407-4020 is still active and available for use as well. And you do need to call during their business hours of operation in order to get support on the live line. You got to call from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time Monday through Friday, or noon to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the weekends. So never had anything serious enough to need to call that, but it's good to know it's there. Have you ever been banned for 27 years? Well, if you have, that means pretty much you've been banned permanently. There was a little thread about this. Somebody was like, how did I get banned for 27 years? Yeah, well, that means you're banned forever. Normally, you're not supposed to talk about bans on the forum, by the way. If you come on there and say, I was banned, or something like that, they will shut down your forum account as well. However, you can appeal bans. It's not like you can't do anything, but what you want to do is go to support.turbine.com. And then read the EULA there, and it'll have some instructions on what you need to do, who you need to email, that sort of thing. So, I mean, it is possible to get banned by accident. If for some reason they see suspicious behavior on your account, they can lock it down. So if that happens to you, or you could probably call the toll-free hotline as well, and then give you instructions on what to do about that. Probably not going to reverse it instantly for you. That's one of those things. They probably have to investigate, see what's going on, see if you really are a gold farmer or not, and then unban you, or you'll have to wait 27 years to play DDO, which I'm guessing you won't. So that's what that's about. If you're unlucky
DDO
enough to
lasts
see
that long?
Yeah, one can only hope. Didn't you get accidentally banned once there, darling? Something like that? I don't remember.
That was a bug.
Yeah. I think Anne got banned for a day. Something like along those lines.
It was a 3-day ban, and they were testing out a system, and they admit their fault, and I got credit.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Me too.
Cheaters.
No.
Just kidding.
It was probably the same event.
Yeah, that was one of the Maybar years, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, there was, to be fair, there was a what I thought was an amusing thread on the forums saying, let's come up with a new name for Maybar. And there were quite a few. The Fubar the Endless Fail seemed to be especially popular. And I don't remember. There were a couple other pretty funny ones, but yeah. Feel a little sorry for him, but it was an amusing thread, and Maybar does have a cursed history of having issues.
Yes.
I'm not sure they've had one that's been really totally smooth. Unlike the ice games, which generally just work fine. There's no problem with them.
Right.
But
No. Oh, we may see a bug with the new snow area out in Forgotten Realms.
Oh yeah, there'll probably be something, but hopefully functional. And this year I've got my Festival Jester character, so I'm gonna park him out by the Festival Jester and roleplay with people a little bit. Let's see. DDO store news. What do we got? Free sample of the week this week is Lesser Experience Point Pot. The code is LCEE010. You can save 35% on the Reign of Madness Adventure Pack, which I highly recommend. I think both the loot in there is really cool, and they are funny adventures with cool monsters to fight and stuff. So that's one of my favorite adventure series in the game. Also, 20% off of armor kits, some of them, hats and helmets, armor and weapons, stuff like that. So gear for your character. You can go to their ddostore.com/DDO store sale to get the full details on which things are for sale or not. I did notice that a couple of the armor kits. Also, I saw some armor kits that I wasn't familiar with. I don't shop for them very often, but I was buying one today, and I saw there were spider armor kits and purple dragonite armor kits, which I had not actually even bothered to look at.
I totally agree about the Reign of Madness. I think some of the more creative things in the entire game are in that quest series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're just fun to play. I mean, and kind of challenging too. I mean, each has their own kind of reason why it's a little bit harder than some other quests. Yeah, they're just cool. Let's see, DDO Cast news. Where have we been? Yeah, we missed about 3 weeks here, I think. Basically just really busy, or on one occasion at least, very tired. I didn't quite have the energy to put the show together. But hey, we're back doing the show. We wanted to make sure we hit this week because we've got a vacation coming up next weekend. We should have another show. Then after that, we're going to be on vacation, so we'll miss 1 or 2. And then after Thanksgiving, we'll be back with a little bit more regular schedule towards the end of the year. We get a little bit more vacation time, a little bit more slack to put things together. I'm thinking maybe try to do a little holiday special kind of a thing. I don't know. We'll see. I've never done that before, but if I can get myself motivated, could do that. Should be kind of cute. I know we've got a bunch of material from past shows that we could put together. So, how about let's talk a little bit about new stuff on DDO Gamer. We talked a little bit about the Guild Renown. You also had an article about haggling and Cannith deconstruction. That sounded cool.
Actually, I've been talking about haggle a couple of things. It used to be such a primary way to equip your character. So most people that I don't know how to put percentages on this. Many veteran players would have a character that they loaded up haggle everybody as much as they could, and this character would do most of your marketing. Not only buying expensive things like scrolls, but selling a lot of your loot, and it mattered. Over time, you could accumulate really a lot of plat just by passing the stuff that you were selling through this person and by saving on scrolls and other supplies. But it occurred to me last week, how important still is that? So I tried to ask people, do you still have a Hagglebot? Do you consider it important? And I got different responses depending on the audience, which is interesting. On the forum, the response I got was, no, haggle's useless. Everything costs too much now, and all the best stuff is you can't get with plat anyway. You're going to need scales or other trading material in order to get the best stuff. Meanwhile, the people who responded on the blog site directly were all talking about, well, yes, haggle's very useful. Scrolls still are expensive. So I found it interesting that it was split almost uniformly. Almost nobody on the forum said yes, haggle, and almost nobody that responded on the blog site said no, haggle. That was kind of so. What is that? What's the long-term conclusion? Well, if you are trying to buy the top shelf gear, you're not going to be able to buy it with platinum. You're just not. That is a fact. There was a time when you could, but there's been inflation in this game, and those days are gone. So, and I got to say, even from the very beginning, back when the most valuable item was probably a rapier, like a wounding and puncturing rapier, you probably weren't going to be able to buy that with just platinum even then. So you're always going to be better off looking for something. If you want to get into the marketing, you're going to look for some viable commodity, like dragon scales are always good. There are certain other things that are always worth money, and farm those, and now you're going to be somebody who's active in the market. But if all you really want to be able to do is keep your character on the profit side of profit and loss, when it comes to especially when it comes to buying scrolls and clerical gear and those sort of things, well, yeah, you can still do that just by having a good haggle on your best character. Then, related, but not exactly the same kind of topic, when I was talking to my gamer girl about this, she wanted to know, well, she doesn't use her haggle very much because she deconstructs everything now, and she gets platinum from that. And she was wondering, well, is my haggle affecting that? Should I be pumping up my haggle so that I get better platinum from deconstructing? So I came up with it. It's a pretty easy thing to test. I found 2 identical docents on the auction house. I gave one to a character with haggle 72, one to a character with haggle 7, deconstructed them, flat 10%. So in both cases, when you deconstruct, you get 10% of the base value, that's it. So Haggle is not the most interesting topic, okay? I mean, this is like accounting, right? I see eyes glazing over. I hear people turning over to other more interesting parts of the podcast. But, you know, this is part of the details of the game, right? If you're playing the game, you're playing all of it, or at least I am. And this is one of the ways that I do that. So there you go. My report on Haggle.
Very interesting. Yeah, I figured it didn't have an effect on deconstruction, but let's see. I kind of wish it did in a sense because I think that would be more interesting. But I'm kind of glad it doesn't because my Haggle character and my deconstruction character are different, so it means I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I enjoy having a Haggle character, especially to buy packs of scrolls and potions and things. I guess I don't grind enough to have giant piles of platinum, so I'll build up. I think most I've ever had is like 300k plat or something like that. I'll usually just spend it all on gear, you know, general either stuff for my lobies that I buy off the auction house or on, you know, consumables of one kind or another. So, and with so many characters, I don't sell a lot of things on the auction house either because whenever I get something decent, I either bank it or give it to a character. And every once in a while, I go and sell stuff off, and I'm always like, oh, hey, I can make pretty good money doing this, but I don't need a lot of money, and I don't generate a lot of money. But when I was early in the game, having a Haggle character was definitely helpful. It kind of helped me get out of the, boy, I can barely afford to repair my gear. Oh, you know, I should carry potions on my fighter, but boy, they sure are expensive. I'm not sure I can afford that. And it let me get out of that kind of a rut. So, you know, buying potions and wands is not a big deal. And part of that was having a Haggle character definitely helped a little bit.
I think it's still a good idea if you're a new player. You know, if you're, I assume we still get new players. If you're starting a new account out, build a Haggle character. It'll be worth it. 5 years down the road, maybe not so much. But for now, yes.
Yeah, and usually, you know, bards and sorcerers tend to be the two kind of easy Haggle characters, although a rogue if you have enough intelligence. But there's a lot of other things to spend your skill points on.
Sure.
Bards often have a surplus of skill points, I find, and so they can throw it in there real easily.
I have a halfling Haggle sorcerer build available buried somewhere on my site if you care to look. A good sorcerer and good Haggle. There you go. Best of all worlds.
Yeah, really on a sorcerer, it doesn't hurt your character at all. You just need, you know, maybe 2 more points of intelligence or something than you might otherwise have. So you roll a 10 instead of an 8, and it's usually not a problem. And plus,
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the ability to teleport at will on a haggling character is really handy because you can head off to the different stores and things that you need to go to.
Yep, absolutely right.
Yeah. So I mean, my bard uses scrolls, which works, but it costs a little money. It's sort of a business expense, you might say. But I don't know. Although I also just kind of like that my bard is slightly useless. You know, he's a Haggle character, and for a while he was really specialized in it. I don't have any feats anymore that do Haggle and that sort of thing. But when I first made him, I've had him since the beginning of the game, pretty much. He was super specialized in it, and I eased off on that, and he just sort of maxes it out. Has a high charisma anyway, but I guess I kind of like having a character who he's sort of self-styled piker, right? You know, just hangs out. He collects treasure, he sells it. So I do kind of enjoy playing him on occasion, but he's actually not that bad. He's like no frontline character, but he can do a little bit of everything. He does traps, he does healing, he can, he has a pretty high DC on his songs. Does a lot of little handy things for the party. And every once in a while he'll kind of, if everybody dies, since I usually hang out in the back somewhere nice and safe, I'm pretty good at grabbing everybody's stones, throwing out a fascinate, and hightailing it back to the nearest shrine, or around a corner, and then pick everybody back up. And all right, boys, get back out there, get me some treasure. So.
Sadly, I can't. I just can't bring I can't play my Hagglebot. She's a sorcerer, and unfortunately, she likes to play from the front line, and she's under hit pointed because she still has the specialty Haggle feats. So. So she's running around with 2 little hit points and way too aggressive an attitude. And my guild makes jokes about the coin deathometer. It's if it gets to 5 deaths in a quest, that's a pretty good quest for coin.
Yeah. Although, I have a couple low hit point characters. I actually really like playing them sometimes, with friends, because it's a bit more of a challenge, right? You're kind of, oh god. Running around. My assassin rogue's a bit like that. He's a little low on the hit point meter and has to watch himself. He can do a ton of damage, but if monsters turn on, it can be bad. See, I also saw what I thought was kind of an interesting thing on DDO Gamer. It was overanalyzing Update 16? ?
Well, I am an analyst, and it's not the kind of thing you can turn on and off. And I can prove this now if you just go look at my DDO Gamer site, where I took the Update 16 release notes and I ran it through Wordle.com to get a visual emphasis of what the release notes were really about. So I didn't really get a whole lot of new information out of this. I mean, we already knew it was a bug fix release, and this sort of visually illustrated that. But they're pretty. I think the Wordle output is very attractive looking, and maybe over time, if you were to take the various release notes and track all of them through Wordle, you could see trends within the, hey, here's bug fixes, this is content, this is new technology. Or maybe I'm just making pretty squiggles to illustrate an article. I really don't know, but it sure looked nice.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool and fun. I hadn't thought about doing something like that, but I thought it was neat.
Wordle.net. Proof that the internet is worthwhile all by itself.
One of the funniest things, I had this thread up called the Heavy Metal Dungeon God, DDO's ultimate build, right? And basically it was my attempt to make the most unplayable character possible, but written up in a style that was kind of bragging, and this is like the greatest character, and you have to play this guy. And I would update it every once in a while. I haven't done it lately, so I don't have the legendary stuff in there yet, but it's it's kind of fun. But then somebody ran it through one of those internet things that changed it, and it changed it over into like pimp talk, right? Which only enhanced its kind of ridiculous braggadocio. I got a real laugh out of reading that thing. Every once in a while, that thread gets necroed, and I'm very pleased. And somebody posts something about it.
It's called faux shizzle.
A shizzle? Oh, that's the thing that does that. Yeah. So I quite enjoyed that. But the internet's wonderful for that sort of thing.
Nice. Kung Fu Shizzle. I'm writing that down. I wonder what the Update 16 release notes look like in Kung Fu Shizzle.
Let's. Yep.
On the chat, Muse asks you, or requests that you should mention that Bluff 2 is important. If you have 4 Bluff or more, you pay 1,000 platinum pieces for Delirious 4.
Oh yeah. Yeah, especially if you're a new player. I remember that used to be a big deal. You'd go to Delirious 4 and you're like, do we have the money? Oh, gee, I don't have enough money to pay the this guy. And, hey, do you have 4 Bluff? No, I don't. Can somebody cast Eagle Splendor on me? And then I'll wear a ring, and then they go through a lot of trouble. Nowadays, you're just like, I don't care. I got lots of money on this. Not a big deal. But, yeah, no, that's kind of a good tip. I used to occasionally put a couple Bluff on a character that didn't have charisma just so I could take care of that, as it were. Bluff is a handy skill. It didn't used to be very good, but I actually like it on rogues and things now. It works okay. Especially if you like to play a sneak attack character and you solo fairly often, Bluff is actually really good to have. You throw that, and if you're having trouble with a monster and suddenly the sneak attack damage lights up, that's real nice. So,
I think that might be the only time it's useful, but in that case, it is really, really useful. It's really cool. I mean, he'll actually back all the way up to you so that you can backstab him.
Mm-hmm.
How handy is that?
It's like, present back. Excellent. I think, you can also pull with Bluff, which I've only seen a couple people do, but if you have a good enough Bluff, you can target somebody off in the distance, and they'll come over by themselves instead of bringing the whole group.
Oh, nice.
So you can pull guys with it. But I have not done that very often, because most groups I'm in, they don't, you wade in and kill everything. Or bring them all back to the firewall. Yeah.
More importantly, Bluff doesn't require a line of sight.
That's true, yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice tips.
Yeah, it's actually, it used to be kind of useless, but now it's actually, you can do some stuff with it. So I do have it on a couple characters. Let's do some monster lore and put this together for us. And this is because this particular monster shows up as a main antagonist or boss guy in the new quest, and that is the Glabrezu. The Glabrezu was one of the earliest creatures introduced to the Dungeons & Dragons game. First appeared in 1976 in the Eldritch Wizardry supplement and for the original Dungeons & Dragons. They are as tall as giants and have broad muscular bodies. They have 4 arms, 2 in giant clawed hands, and the other 2 in powerful pincers. They have a dog-like head with horns atop and powerful jaw, with a mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth. What monster doesn't have razor-sharp teeth, though? You know? In the demon hierarchy, Galabrezu rank second behind the succubus in terms of demons that target and corrupt mortals. Unlike the succubus, the Galabrezu does not offer pleasures of the flesh, but offers power, wealth, and respect, undreamed of by even the most ambitious person. Galabrezu are unable to change or polymorph their frightening appearance, so they usually visit mortals in secret. They are most commonly summoned directly by a mortal, such as an ambitious human wizard or drow priestess, who hopes to make bargains with them. Sometimes they find a potential victim of their own, presenting their gifts to the person, whether they want them or not. And in some cases, the Galabrezu never reveal themselves to a person, relying on their telepathy to speak directly into the victim's mind. They may be direct about their nature, or may make the person believe that they are going insane. Sometimes, an ascending high priestess of the drow goddess Lolth will mate with a Galabrezu, not a pleasant proposition, in order to give birth to a Dragoloth. So if you're wondering where those come from, that's how baby Dragoloths are made, kids. They are chaotic evil creatures and prefer subterfuge over combat, but they do kick some butt. In tabletop, when provoked into fighting, they like to confuse their targets and then strike with melee attacks, finish them off with a Chaos Hammer or Unholy Blight. They fight with natural weapons in addition to any wielded weapons, and their most powerful ability is to grant a mortal a single wish. They're pretty fun to use in role-playing games. They're the great kind of classic deal with the devil, even though they're not a devil, they're a demon, but they're really great for that. I like a lot of these tips are great for interacting with characters, especially the telepathy thing. Not a lot of people use the demon telepathy to its full advantage, but yeah, if your demon can be invisible or sneaking around in various ways, the telepathy can be a really cool thing. Characters don't know where it's coming from and what it means, and all kinds of good fun. And of course, wishes are always, especially from demons, always an interesting source of entertainment and plot point. So yeah, so if you want to see one of these, see your nearest Galabrezu in Update 16, High Road of the Shadows Adventure Pack on November 12th. Little plug there. And go ahead.
Did I hear earlier that we said that that pack is not only going to be available on the 12th, but go on sale the same day?
I think so. Yeah. Well, you know, the sort of press release said that it was going on sale on the 12th, which often means it comes out earlier. But I am under the impression this one comes out and is for sale the same day. But
that's the first, right? Isn't that the first time they've done that?
I think so. Yeah. Which I generally like. I mean, you know, the whole, hey, VIPs get to play it before anybody else. I don't care if I get to play it before anybody else. I would rather, in fact, that everybody I know I can play it with if they buy it. So I like that better.
Right. And in our guild, we have a mix of VIPs and non-VIPs. And we don't want to leave anybody out, so the VIPs don't get to play it when it first comes out either. We got to wait.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that works that way for me a lot of the time as well. Although if it's just Dan and I, we can go do it. But yeah, for our guildies, we still have to wait around. So I like that. I think that's cool. And we got a segment today, which we're going to jump in on here. And it is Ludwig van Beethoven and his Dragon Fragments #4. We ready with that, darling? All right, let's give it a listen.
I interrupt this episode of the DioCast for this look upon a project I am unlikely to ever finish. Russian Prince Productions presents Dragon Fragments from Eberron's Past. It was but a few, and some, months ago, when the beloved hosts of the DioCast did beseech we the listeners for our DDO Punchin' Judies. DDOcast and Punchin' Judy in the same breath. Arr, seems we found ourselves a plank walker, boys. In the immortal words of all noobs, pon the maiden voyage to the Menectaran Desert. Show this man aboard. So it was. Sig he did decree. The wifling of doom she did agree. Thou'st shall send us a joke. 1, 2, or 3. Pay no mind to quality, keep an eye on pedigree. To my shame and continuing regret, I did not submit, though I pined to the summit and back for the wee white wolf. I did not submit. You see, I just don't do punchlines. Now, in the creative process, I do not consciously set out upon the trail with the banner on sale. I do not do punchlines. Here, have a button. Whatever the reason for my behavior, it is buried deep within my helix, far beyond the reach of some young radical looking to leave his mark on life.
I interrupt this interruption of Didio Cast. A teenage boy is getting ready to take his girlfriend to the prom. First he goes to rent a tux, but there's a long tux line at the shop and it takes forever. Next, he has to get some flowers, so he heads over to the florist and there's a huge flower line there. He waits forever, but eventually gets the flowers. Then he heads out to rent a limo. Unfortunately, there's a large limo line at the rental office, but he's patient and gets the job done. Finally, the day of the prom comes. The two are dancing happily and his girlfriend is having a great time. When the song is over, she asks him to get her some punch, so he heads over to the punch table and there's no punchline. Thank you very much.
Whatever the reason for my behavior, let it sleep a while longer, for the time of revelation, the pain of carbon truth, is said to come so soon. Was it created a day later, or 2 months before? Is there something in a fragment which suggests it must be the truth? Lost in the pictures behind my eyes, I improvised today's piece into my VocalLive app. I will present it to you here as it was first recorded. Forgive me any lack of clarity between character voices. Try to remember, I could see the pictures and it all made perfect sense to me at the time. The field has been dragged, and much of the seed sown. The harvest is nearly upon us, and what's the point of all this? Is yours to be known nearly right away. Take a moment to wipe that brow. Listening is hard work. Share a collective sigh of great relief and a job well done with all the other listeners of DDO Cast. Please lean forward for final approach. No blinking. I place my jelly bean sometime in the future, long after the ripples from all that Abbott's nonsense about upsizing his soft drink have dissipated beyond the boundaries of questable material. The Vale of Twilight has undergone an intensive period of healing and reclamation. It is now relaunched as an important historical park and recreation center, fun for friends and family. Due to a huge debt load incurred during the construction phase of the project, the tower, 12 Flags Consortium, became the victim of a hostile and ultimately successful takeover bid by the Disney Corporation of Khyber. It was only days before the much-anticipated opening gala set to coincide with the beginning of festival when the kindly kobold mascot of the TTF Consortium was cast adrift. A crazy, bug-eyed cranial rat in red suspenders now greets visitors to the park. As things change, so they stay the same. Come with me now to an important hub of trade and commerce. A few of the park's employees are making their way up to the tavern in Meridia, where a heated discussion will ensue. A short delay as we pass the auction house. We flirt with the lady of the day. The winner makes her smile. The new guy snipes himself several sets of +5 thieves' tools. Oh, they're not for me, he says. They're for a friend of mine. While they look to find a seat, order their lemonades, why don't we turn our thoughts to happy music? Try to determine the song and artist Ludwig makes loose reference to. Send your answer to ddocast@gmail.com. Stay tuned for the end of the segment where Sig and his friend Synopsis, the Cyclops of Clarity, will provide further details.
Format conversion to lower life form in 3, 2, 1.
With a little jury rigging, many items once created for one purpose have found new lives in that of a second. Take, for instance, a giant's water bucket used in the quarry out in the Vale of Twilight in the time of the giants. Well, now, with the giants gone, and the well long since dry, it has become an elevator of sorts for tourists looking to visit the hidden passages dug by the slaves thousands of years ago. That is until Ludwig gets his new safety badge. You stupid people, what are you doing? You can't just keep pulling people out of the well in a bucket. You gotta build a proper platform. A platform? No, a platform. I hope you're not suggesting we all become counterfeiters. Maybe he's just thinking about a deck. That's right, a deck. Oh, that's too bad. I was hoping maybe we were gonna get a pay raise. No. Like he said, a deck. 'Cause you just can't keep pulling people out of the well in a bucket. Someday the bottom it will fall out. Ludwig, I'm not going to question your sincerity, but you made that sound like a punchline, and honestly, it wasn't funny. Now, unless you're going to explain the little pictures bouncing behind those eyes, shh, Ludwig, I know they're bouncing. You let me do my job and go find somebody else to bother. Fine. I'll share if you pour me a shot of tequila. Okay, Ludwig, got yourself a fish. I'll shot your sheriff. This better be good. Oh, it was, definitely.
Imagine that. No punchline. Good night, Sig. Good night, Anne. Good night, everybody. See you pod next time.
Good night, Ludwig. Wow. Another mysterious journey into worlds beyond from Ludwig Beethoven. Thank you very much for that, Dragon Fragments. And in case you didn't figure it out, there's a contest attached to this. You have to be on Thelanis in order to claim the prize, but you can be anywhere you like in order to play the game. You have to determine the song/artist that Ludwig is alluding to in the final part of his Dragon Fragments. And the prize for those who win are little pets. There are 2 bats up for grabs and Wraith Vanity Pets, 2 of those as well. So we can have up to 4 winners from Thelanis. So send your answers to ddocast@gmail.com. And from those who guessed correctly, we will pick 4. Or if there are not 4 correct answers, we will pick 4 answers, period. And you will be put in contact in order to get your bats or wraiths on Thelanis. So thanks for that. Pretty interesting stuff. I'm really glad we can play the segments during the show now. We were having a little trouble with that before, and that seemed to work beautifully. So kudos, darling, for getting the technician part of the thing together so we can hear those and comment on them during the show. Because before it would, it's like, I'm never going to play this, and I haven't listened to it yet, so I'm not sure what to say about it. But so I'm very glad that we can do that. Let's go to what you been doing real quick. I'll start. What did I do? I did some A-Bar, and it was amusing, but I didn't have a great time. It was kind of okay. We already talked a little bit about that. And a bit of low-level questing here and there. I always like playing my low-level characters, inching them up. I got a level on somebody a couple weeks back, but I don't remember who. Outside of DDO, I've been playing a lot of Blood Bowl Chaos Edition. If you don't know, that's a Games Workshop-based, turn-based strategy game that's kind of like football with elves and ogres and trolls and goblins and demons and all kinds of crazy things, playing a game of football where they beat each other up with chainsaws and all kinds of cool stuff. So that's a lot of fun if you like turn-based games. It's a little slow for some people, but I like it. And I've been playing Chaos Dwarves, which are really cool. And then a bit of Borderlands 2. which Ann and I like to play together, and watching Season 2 of Game of Thrones, utterly obsessing this weekend. But I managed to get through the whole thing in a weekend. So, yeah, good stuff. Definitely highly recommend Game of Thrones, so long as you are above the age of, say, 18 or so, because it's definitely adult content. But good stuff. So yeah, Anne got some cable, so I've been enjoying that. She's been watching Pumpkin Chunkin', or The Road to Pumpkin Chunkin', and I've been
Pumpkin
watching
Chunkin'. Well, mostly working on not much DDO, unfortunately, because it's been so buggy. I've been playing Borderlands. What else? Mostly. Wow, not much. Yeah. My life has been really sad.
Well, you were going to LR in a character the other day, but you couldn't buy turbine points. But what character were you going to do?
I was going to LR Theris. So.
Ah, okay.
Theris on Thelanis. This is what I was going to work on. So, but that's about it.
Yeah. I have been slowly moving feats on my characters, dropping oversized 2-weapon fighting to take other feats, often cleave, so that I can eventually get overwhelming critical. So a lot of my characters have suddenly picked up the cleave feat in order to get that. So that's kind of an ongoing process too. And I'm trying to get the level 24 Dawson in Maybar. That's kind of my goal. But because I can't get Lich Dust, I'm going to have to get like 2,500 motes, which shouldn't be too hard, but I'm kind of slow at everything, so it's taking a little while. But so it goes. Jeff, how about you?
Well, I've been doing some Maybar also. I'm still pretty Maybarred up from previous episodes. I have one character that wanted the level 24 cloak, so that's about all I had to grind out, and I've already done it. Most of my time really has been spent duoing. My gamer girl has these phases where, you know, sometimes she's a Lotro player, and sometimes she's a DDO player, and sometimes she's a little of both. But right now we're right smack in the middle of a DDO phase, and I'm riding that as long as I can. So we've got our TRs that are back up to 8th level, and we're spending time on that. And then we have a couple of characters we're trying to get capped, so we've been spending time in Shindelinnerin. And I want to congratulate Keith Baker or Turbin or whoever came up with a word that's harder to pronounce than Menectorin, but they did.
That would be Ed Greenwood.
Okay, well, oh yes, you're right. Not Keith Baker at all. Ed Greenwood. Thank you, Ed, for that place where the Drow City is.
Drow Town.
Yes. So yeah, we've been in there. That's having a good time. Actually, I kind of like those quests. I'm quite pleased with them. It's the first time I've hit them, and they're fun. So that's what I've been up to.
Yeah, they're definitely pretty cool. I like that even though they're all Drow in them, each one's a little bit different because the Drow are a bit different, and the challenge is a little different. So there's that one that people like to grind out, the Weapon Master one. Because you can kind of cheese through that. In case you don't know, and in case you want to grind and you haven't for some reason been in a Shindelrin grinding group, you can go in that quest and you send one person towards the end of the quest. They zerg back there, click on a weapon thing. You have to kind of know where it is. And then the big boss comes out and everybody beats him down, and that's the end of the quest, if you do it that way. If you want the optionals and the treasure, you run around and there's a bunch of secret doors and lots of guys to fight, and it's I would say a lot more fun that way, but a little less XP per minute. So just one of those grindy tips there if you're interested. Although a lot of people poo-poo it because some people do so much of it that it's kind of sickening. And I don't know, but I haven't actually speedrun it before. I've always just kind of done it normally. Had a pretty good time with it.
I've only done it the one time at all, but I really enjoyed it. And I really liked the one where there's sort of a house espionage thing, or not espionage, drama between the Matrix. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but there's a story. I mean, I like reading the stories. I always enjoy that. And one of the quests has a pretty interesting story to it. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And the adventure area scrolls are pretty cool. And I like some of the tactics in the slave quest where you got the slaves.
Right.
There's also some fun explorers in those ones trying to get them. Although the slave quest, there's one really tricky thing in there that I should warn people about. At one point, you're going through and you're in some slave pens and you break out and you fight some slaves. And there's one area where there's a kind of a portal-y looking thing. And if you click on it, it will give you the warning that you're about to leave the quest. But it's really unexpected that exits the quest. You're not nearly done with the quest, and you can end up bailing out, and then you're going to take an XP hit and all that kind of jazz. And it can be kind of a bummer, and you lose your buffs and everything. So be careful about that. We've had both Ann and I have bailed out of that quest on accident a couple times just because there's a fight right in front of it, and so you can accidentally click on it, and then the dialogue, you're like, make that dialogue go away, hit return, boom, you're out of the quest, and then your friend dies. So careful with that one. But other than that, I enjoy those ones a lot. They're pretty cool. And tactics, I like those drow priestesses that eat other drow and slaves and things. That just makes for a real tactical fight sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Sure does. And they end on a cliffhanger, too. So they leave you wanting more.
Yeah, they're cool quests. I like them quite a bit. And I like the city itself. As an adventure area, it's kind of a fun adventure area. There's some different encounters. The rares are a little too rare, though, I find. A lot of people are like, does this rare even exist? And yeah, they do, but you can go in there like 20 times and not see some of them, so kind of few and far between.
I'm going to attempt to pronounce the drow city as Shindrillin.
Shindrillin?
Okay. Yeah.
That's better than I've been able to do.
I usually call it Shindlerin. I think when you pick up the little scrolls that are hidden around the place, at a couple points they do say the name of the city, so you can get the official drow pronunciation that way. But
very good.
But sometimes I have my sound off when I do adventure areas because I'm like watching TV or something, so I don't always hear those. I just see the text, and often I just click on them. And I have listened to them all once, but it's been a little while. Mm-hmm. Community news. Let's run down that real fast. PJS Techie has a new episode of Epic Education up, episode 23, on his MyDDO blog, so you can check that out. Those are always really detailed and great if you're planning on doing the raid. The general DDO puzzle solver for iPhone and Android has been updated. Now includes the Shadow Crypt solver, so that's pretty handy. Especially Shadow Crypt can be a challenge sometimes. Great DDO fan art available. What if Bob Ross drew a picture of an elf barbarian chick? That was kind of my impression of the picture. It's got that kind of soft pastel background, and then this barbarian. I think it's actually a human, but her proportions are kind of elfy. And if you're hardcore, you can recognize the axe that she's carrying. The detail is sufficient that you can see what the gear is, and it's pretty distinctive battle axe that she's got. DDO now has a Pinterest page. Speaking of such things, if you don't know what Pinterest is, it is another social media site type of a thing, like Facebook or something. But on this one, you put pictures of stuff up. It's really kind of oriented towards showing off your stuff. And so DDO has put one up there, and it's kind of nice actually because they've got all the fan art and cartoons and things that the people have done, which I always really enjoy, especially the cartoons. Some of them are really great. People have done over the years, so it's a great place to go and see cool DDO stuff. And if you got cool DDO stuff, you can share it as well. So Pinterest is kind of neat. What else? MMORPG.com takes a look at Update 16 with Tolero and producer Glenn. And they got a pretty long video of they kind of run the MMORPG guy through the quests and things like that. That's kind of fun to listen to. So, and was checking it out the other day. And of course they've got articles and all that kind of good stuff. So if you want to know more about it, Thelanis Thursdays, Fellowship of the Golden Knight has been added again. They're doing Thelanis Thursdays a little more often, and they had a neat Halloween party on Saturday. And I feel a little bad. My apologies go out. We were going to announce their thing last week on the show so people would know about it, but then we didn't do a show last week, so I couldn't announce it ahead of time. But at least we shared it up on our social media and whatnot. But hope they had a good time. I wasn't able to attend. Saturdays are often pretty busy for me with other role-playing games and stuff, so wasn't able to make it. But they had a costume contest, they gave away some prizes, and Turbine was real good about promoting their event. So hopefully they had some folks there, and I went and got my. Although I couldn't make it, I did get my role-playing character, Gabrizar, my Hagelbard, all dressed up for the occasion. So I bought him a new outfit, and I got a Wraith, and I put a tap hat on it, and I named it Jeeves. And I was ready for Thelanis Thursday. So maybe next Thursday I'll try to go and join them and see if anybody's around. Although I'm awfully silly when I roleplay, so we'll see how it goes. DDO Chronicle, of course. I think we've already covered everything that was in there pretty much. But Chronicle comment of this week was, if you could create your own DDO festival, what would it be and what would you do there? Because I was playing with Gabrizar, my thought was Gabby Fest, celebrating my bard, Gabrizar the Infernal Voice, 2-time champion of the Thelanis Battle of the Bard.
Uh-oh.
Rising up into the heavens in the harbor. That would be a great event. and you could climb around on it, and I don't know, gold coins would fly out of his armpits or something. I'm not sure, but it'd be a great event. People would love it because Gabrizar is so awesome. I don't know. Hey, Anne, what kind of event would you have?
Anything that involves jumping. Lots of jumping. If we can jump, and I like jumping in DDO and in shared instances, so I want more of that.
Rooftop races? That would be fun.
Yeah.
Jeff, you got any ideas?
Well, I'm trying to think. I don't think I have a character that's really worthy of server-wide worship as you do, so I really can't. Gosh darn, I can't have a character-based festival. I guess it would be kind of fun, I mean, when the Rezia Festival first came out, everybody just kind of assumed there would also be a Fernia Festival, so we could put hot on our weapons to go with the cold. I'd still kind of like that. That sounds like it could be fun.
That would be cool. Festival of Fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, you could. We could have the jumping event in there. You can play the floor is made of lava, and they could actually put lava in the floors of all the taverns.
There you go.
All right. Well, I didn't read the thread. There's probably some pretty amusing ones in the actual thread itself. So I'll have to check that out. But hopefully, maybe we'll see one of those somedays. We got the pirates. We haven't had a new festival type in a while. I guess with Winter Festival, we're going to get something new. So that should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Other gaming news, however, very related to DDO. Warner Brothers, which owns Turbine currently, is hiring and laying off people at Turbine. So definitely a bit of a shakeup there. Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, WBIE, has laid off an undisclosed number of employees at its Turbine game studio in Boston, Massachusetts. I will say it was a significant enough number that it showed up in the local papers and the like. So this was not a small event. The company laid off these employees as it hired several veteran game developers. Of the new hires, designer Ken Ralston, previously working at Big Huge Games. He's a designer from Morrowind, Oblivion, and Kingdoms of Amular. Not that I've ever heard of that, but Anne thought maybe it was a casual game. He's now director of design at Turbine. Three other new hires: Alan Villani, formerly of Mortal Kombat developer from NetherRealm Studios, is now Turbine's vice president of technology and will be responsible for the design technology platform that helps drive online engagement and monetization. Well, you gotta love engagement and monetization. Those are my favorite game elements. Yeah, the game corporate speak sometimes that kind of misses the mark a little. Zynga alumni Jai Singh joins as the executive director of technical operations in charge of Turbine's technical infrastructure and network operations. And if you've been following gaming news, Zynga shed like about a third of its staff recently, so lots of Zynga folk out in the wind there. Ex-Petroglyph Games member Demeritus Corns fills the role of Executive Director of Engineering, and he will oversee all engineering functions for the studio's project development team. So definitely some new higher-up people in the Turbine dev group. Whether they affect DDO or not, I don't know, but probably at least indirectly. Warner Brothers rep, as of this statement, as part of the continual review of our business operations and fluctuating market conditions, we have had to make reductions in our Turbine workforce. The group continues to remain an integral part of Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. And while that's pretty bad, it's better than them shutting down the studio, definitely. So, which I don't know that there was any danger of that, but that does happen sometimes. People finish something, and then everybody goes bye-bye. So that didn't happen here, but definitely some shakeup, and we know some of our old favorites like 404 Error and some of the other developers have been leaving recently. Both in advance of this and around this time. So, but I guess they have some new people too. So definitely interesting. And then it says at the end here, Warner Brothers acquired Turbine in 2010. And so it is. It's the problem with being acquired. And a lot of the time when they buy your company, they're like, we're not going to make any changes. And then they don't make any changes. And then they're like, hey, we figured out the changes that we're going to make. And then they make them. So that happens. Oh, but hopefully all is good in the world. I do believe Major Malfunction, who appears to still be there, posted on one thread. He said that, it might have some short-term impact on the game. Long-term, they haven't changed any of their plans for DDO. So, generally speaking, about the same going forward. But obviously, anytime you have staff changes, especially at the high level, there's going to be a certain amount of confusion. And while people get their new plans together, I've been there. I've seen that happen. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In other news, Lotro Mac client goes live beta, so you can download the client and participate in the beta if you're on a Mac and into Lotro, and or on a Mac and always wanted to play Lotro. Although if you're listening to DDOcast, it's not too likely you're playing on a Macintosh. I know you can play DDO that way, but it's rather challenging. You probably could have played Lotro that way too, but now they got an actual live client, so kind of cool. It's the sign of the times as Apple gobbles up a certain amount of market share. I think I read somewhere that actually Microsoft Windows is only running on like 30% of devices if you count smartphones and things like that. Kind of interesting. Although, PC gaming, I think it's still by far and large the most common thing.
Right, and it's all PC. You got to wonder, is this supposed to be some kind of strategy to get onto a tablet? Because it doesn't seem like a good incremental way to do that. But who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the time with Mac conversions, they get some other company that's willing to do it. If the game has a big enough thing, that company will get a piece of the action, and they do the conversion. So it's not really much of a cost to Turbine. Okay. They get some new customers, but these other guys take a piece of it, but otherwise just wouldn't be available. So I don't know. I know like Steam has Mac sales and stuff. I mean, Mac gaming has definitely picked up. It's a little better than it used to be. When I was a kid in college, I had a Mac, and the reason I stopped using it was there weren't many games I could play. So pretty good computer for everything else.
I loved the Mac. I had one of the first Macs sold in Colorado. Aging myself yet again. I couldn't get anybody to pay me to work on it though, and and there were no games.
Yep.
That was that.
Cool. Well, I think that's going to be about it for today's show. We got any last-minute thoughts, Jeff?
No, I'm really looking forward to the new update. Want to see? I'm really rooting for it to come in and be a solid deployment. That it goes right the first time. I'm just really hoping for good things, and that maybe we can get past this last couple of weeks where the bugs have just been kind of flurrying about so much. I'm rooting for stability. That's what I'm really, really hoping for. And I think we're going to get some. I'm looking forward to it. I've got a positive attitude.
Yep, me too. Always hopeful. Hoping it goes well. It'd be nice to reverse the little trend as of late. I mean, I'm still having a good time playing. It's not really getting in my way, but it's definitely, you can feel there are some issues going on. So I'd like to see those resolved. That'd be great.
Yep.
Hoping for the best. I'm looking forward to playing it. Any last thoughts, darling?
Sure. Hopefully, I know DDO hasn't been airing very much, and hopefully we'll move back to a weekly basis after Thanksgiving, and then in the new year we'll see more weekly broadcasts of DDO casts, and hopefully I will have everything fixed on my side, and hopefully the website and our backups will be done, and then everything will be right as rain, and we'll have specials. And now with my new soundboard, I can do live broadcasts of all the segments that we have, and bring back the commercials as well. So stay tuned.
Cool. Yeah, pretty slick. It's nice to get our technical issues worked out. We've been struggling with them for a little bit ourselves, so smooth road ahead, I hope. Anyway, big thanks to Jeff and Ann for helping me out with the show in a big way. And to all our DDOcast contributors, Lubin, Beethoven, and Shamgar, and everybody else, our many fine listeners and folks in the chat room. And, of course, to Turbine and Wizards, hang in there, guys, and keep making a great game. And if you want to be a part of the show, of course, you can leave us a voicemail on the toll-free Yark line or email us at ddocast@gmail.com. Give us something to say on the air, or request and be a guest on the show. We always love to have people on. And we're going to go out with a little bit more of M is for Magic Missile from Mary Crowell.
M is for Magic Missile. You'll cast it till they put you in your grave. It hurts them just a bit. You cast Shield? Okay, Shield. Well, I'll cast Greater Dispel Magic on your Shield. No, Dispel Magic, Greater, then I'll Quicken.